teacher.
Are any of these people arrested? LAPD is working on trying to identify the people who were silenced that evening. They're committed to finding out the people that were involved. It's been over a month.
Enough. Right before I saw that post, I was thinking the same thing when I heard about the Rafa attack, that this guy is acting like a vampire. That is just what, like, he's a bloodthirsty, psychopathic vampire who at this point doesn't even care about right and wrong. He just wants to get, he's just out for blood. And children, men who did not care, men who just want to, I don't know, bake bread or, like, I don't know, make music or something. They went there, they ran there for their safety, and you went and you killed them there, and you beheaded babies, and you burnt people alive. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Zane, and on this channel I react to videos that interest me. So if that sounds like your thing, please make sure you subscribe right now and give this video a big thumbs up, because I already know you're going to enjoy it. So you guys, you know how we've been talking about, like, the student protesters and all of that, and how people were like, the student protesters who were peaceful protesters, who were just camping out and peacefully protesting and asking their schools to divest and all of that, and not support the Zionists, the apartheid regime, and how the school authorities in many cases blamed them for being disruptors of peace, and blamed them for creating violence, and then called in the police against them, and they arrested some of them and claimed that they did not cooperate with the investigation and suspended some of them, etc, etc, etc. But later on, then some videos came out, and those videos made it clear that the people who were actually causing the violence were the Zionist protesters that came in to attack the pro-Palestine, the peaceful pro-Palestine protesters. You guys remember that? And even after those videos came out, many of the school authorities still handled the whole situation poorly. They did not do anything to make things right. They did not do anything to bring about justice. They did not try to make the Zionist protesters who were violent pay for their crimes. They were vicious in their attacks against these peaceful pro-Palestine protesters. And you know, I heard that some of them brought in fireworks into the encampments, and some of them brought in, like, I heard one of them was beating one of the pro-Palestine students with a bat. A bat. I don't know if it was planned to kill him. I don't know what he was trying to do. I heard there was a time when some of the pro-Palestine students were attacked with, like, chemicals or something like that. But anyway, so let's watch this video together, because then it would make us at least not happy, but at least we'll know that sometimes some of these people can be called to order.
The video that we just watched, we saw people moving around. Was it possible, do you think, for that student to be able to get into campus? Was that student actually being blocked from entering campus? Well, that was in the middle of...
By the way, this question she's asking, this first question she's asking the chancellor, I believe that's the chancellor of one of the schools, Chancellor Block. This was about, I think, a Jewish student who was supposedly blocked from entering the campus. I don't know if it was actually blocked or not, but that's the first question she's asking the chancellor about. And I'm saying this because there were some people saying, oh, Ilhan Omar downplayed the fact that a Jewish student was blocked from entering the campus. I don't know how she's downplaying, because that's the very first question she's asking him. But anyway.
Excuse me, that was in the middle of campus. Not being blocked from being on campus, maybe being blocked from a pathway on campus, which he shouldn't be allowed to, he should be allowed to pass. I mean, any part of campus is open to students, so blocking him was really inappropriate. Okay, appreciate that. The recent images from UCLA are appalling. What is more appalling is that it was completely preventable. You could have prevented this by protecting the diverse groups of pro-Palestinian students that were peacefully gathered on campus to share meals, stand in solidarity against a brutal genocide. You could have prevented this by protecting these students
First Amendment right to assemble. You could have prevented this when you learned about rats being released into the encampment. You could have prevented...
These people were really demonic. They released rats. Like, I heard about the fireworks and all of that. I did not hear about rats. This is ridiculous.
This when there was a anonymous group funded and constructed again a giant video with loudspeakers to play vile and disturbing footage.
I can only imagine.
You could have prevented this when you saw an angry mob on campus on the night of April 30th, but you did not. Instead, you, the UCLA leadership and law enforcement stood by for hours as the mob of agitators gathered near the encampment with a clear intention to cause violence. And because of your inaction, they acted on the intention and brutally attacked students you were responsible for. This
It's even interesting because one might think, oh, the school authority wasn't aware, maybe the security or the campus police wasn't aware, but clearly they were aware and they waited and they allowed it to happen. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But we know why.
In front of your eyes, on your campus, and it was live streamed for the whole world to see. So I would like to know if you are truly committed to keeping your students safe. How did you fail these students at many critical points where you could have intervened?
Thank you for the question, but I really
know how.
I reject the premise that these students...
How do you reject the premise? Are these pictures lying? Are these pictures... Are any of these people in jail?
Can I finish my statement?
No. Are any of these people in jail? Are any of these people arrested?
LAPD is working on trying to identify the people who were silenced that evening. They were committed to finding out the people that were
It's
involved.
been over a month. I submit for the record an article that the CNN has produced without objection. Why did you not immediately send the police that were standing by, your campus police, law enforcement, to intervene?
We tried.
We tried.
We notified, as soon as we saw the violence, we notified
That's what they all say.
of our mutual aid partners. We tried to get police there as quickly as possible. But going back to my original points, this encampment was against policy. This violated my place.
This is unbelievable. Well, actually, it's kind of believable coming from the awesome place I'm coming from. It's kind of believable. This is how people talk, especially politicians. Clearly, this man is, he's the chancellor of a school, but in some ways, he's kind of like a politician. That's how they all behave. Or at least, I should say, he has the blood of a politician. So, students were attacked. There were rats released to disrupt the protest. Basically, all of this was happening, and what you can say is that the peaceful protesters were wrong anyway. They should not have been doing that anyway. So it's almost good riddance. It's almost tough luck. They went against school policy, so they get what they get, right? So it's wonderful how people's sense of right and wrong can be so warped sometimes that it's like, how do you think people were having a peaceful protest? I thought you guys talked about freedom of speech. I thought you talk about freedom of speech all the time. So these people are trying to have a peaceful protest, not causing any disruption, not causing any, just asking the school authorities to divest and do the right thing. And your answer, first of all, you allowed an attack to happen. You stood by and watched an attack happen. And even if you claim that you did not know it was when it was happening, after it happened and there was evidence, you did not do anything about it. And now when you're being questioned, you're saying, well, the students, they should have been there anyway. The protesters should not have protested because it was against school policy. It was against school policy. Really? That is your answer? Against school? Again, it's supposed to be disturbing, but like, I'm not surprised. I honestly am not surprised because this is the way they think. If you guys know what's happening in my awesome country called Nigeria right now, you will laugh. You will laugh. Maybe I won't talk about it in some other video. This is like at this point, I don't like you just expect anything.
Chancellor, if I may, the footage from that night reveals that some of the most dramatic attacks were carried out by individuals not affiliated with UCLA, not the university students, faculty that were arrested. Why have the violent agitators, who you know have been identified, not been held accountable for assaulting over 150 of your students? You should be ashamed in the fact that you failed your students. You should be ashamed for letting a peaceful protest gathering get hijacked by an angry mob. You should be ashamed for allowing such violence to take place on your campus, which will now be weaponized by Republicans in this committee. You played right into the hands in laying the ground for attacking institutions of public education, stripping students of their rights, and broader repression of movements. I know that my time is up. I would like to submit these images into the record. Without objection. And an open letter to the UCLA community from the UCLA Jewish faculty and staff.
Now, like I was saying, sense of right and wrong is so warped that the people who did nothing except peacefully protest and ask the school not to support what is wrong have been arrested. And the people who actually did who committed violent acts have been allowed to roam free in the city. And even though the whole incident was recorded and there's evidence of those who were actually at fault and you know those people, your claim is that the police or the law enforcement is still trying to get their hands on them. So they haven't found them. They have not found them up till now. Although I did hear that one of them, the one who was attacking somebody with a bat, I heard that one has been arrested, but that was only because a reporter actually did the right thing. That was only because of what a reporter did, like a CNN reporter. Not because these people did what they were supposed to do. They've handled this entire thing in a very messy way, but it's something that can only be expected from people who get money and, who get money from the Zionists. And so they are owned by the Zionists. Wherever your paycheck comes from, wherever your money comes from, wherever your financial support comes from, that person or that entity owns you, and that is the fact. Okay, so now you have to do whatever they tell you to do. You have to say whatever they want to say, or basically you'll get cut off. All right, that is the problem with this. But that's why I'm saying I'm not surprised. That's why I'm saying we know how they could have handled this entire thing so wrongly. The peaceful protesters are wrong, and they are supporting the Hamas terrorists, and they should be they should be put in jail, and they should be suspended from school and all of this. And the Zionist protesters are actually the ones that are calling for right and for justice, and they should be allowed to let go, right? Because that is what the people who own them have told them to say. It's the same thing with politicians. Many of these politicians, and it's not even only in America, it's everywhere. Many of the politicians who you would think, like, before you voted them in, you would have thought they would have been the best people. They had good heads on their shoulders. They had a good sense of right and wrong. They were going to do right. Although I've always said it, I'll believe it when I see it. At this point, I don't believe any politician is coming in to save us. I don't. But that's what happens with them. They get money, because how did they get into that position? They had to get money, lots of money. Like election takes a lot of money. And they had to get money, and many of the Zionists or other people, other lobbies gave them money. And now they have to dance to the tune of the Zionists or these lobbyists and do exactly what those ones tell them to do, and make policies that would help these lobbyists, because scratch my back and scratch yours. Sometimes it's not just that these lobbyists give politicians money, it's that they give them money, but then they also make sure they gather dirt on them, or they make, even if they can't find dirt on them, they put them in compromising positions, and then have that dirt on them so they can hold it over their heads, because there are just some really vile, atrocious things that some politicians allow to be happening. and they claim they support, they actually verbalize that they support those things. But then you would think that, do they actually really believe what they're saying? And in some cases, some of them are really psychopaths, and they really do believe what they're saying. They really do believe that innocent people should be killed. But there are some of them who really do not believe that, but they have to say it, because not only have these people given them money to put them in their position, but, you know, because if it's just money and your values are being challenged to a point where, you know, it's already crossing the red line that you cannot cross. It's very easy to say, look, I know you gave me money to get in this position, I'm truly grateful, I'm going to give you your money back plus interest, so that you don't hold this over my head anymore, and I don't have to do what you want me to do, which is just vile. So if it's just money, it's that. But because of what they have on them, they really cannot say no. Because if you're like, well, I'm going to give you your money, they'll be like, really, your money? What about this other stuff that we have on you? You know the world must not hear about this, right? Da, 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 da. But anyway, that's just my theory. And we've heard snatches in conversations here and there. So we know some of these things actually do happen, okay? So I'm really not surprised that people can be handling things horribly. I'm really not surprised that, you know, certain governments, certain countries would be supporting this apartheid regime. It is clear to everybody that this is not right. And the other day, Dave Chappelle was talking about how there's a genocide happening in Gaza, and everyone wanted to cancel him, right? And everyone was like, da 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 da. And shortly after what happened, the apartheid regime went and attacked Rafah. Rafah was supposed to be a place where they said was going to be safe for these people, that they should go there and they would be safe and they would not be attacked. And what happened? They attacked them. It's kind of like a cowardly move, because if you're going to fight somebody, at least let the person know that they are going to be fought by you, so that they can prepare. Right? It's like one of those rules that they've always had right from time. Like, you do not fight an enemy whose back is turned. Wait for the enemy to turn to face you and hold their arms, and then fight you. And that's when you know that you're a real powerful person. Like, you don't fight somebody who is on the floor, you don't fight somebody who is not armed, you don't fight somebody whose back is turned. And these people have broken all those rules in many, many ways, right? People who you told them they would be safe. So women, children, men who did not care, men who just want to, I don't know, bake bread, or like, I don't know, make music or something. They went there, they ran there for their safety, and you went and you killed them there, and you beheaded babies, and you burnt people alive. And you think you're doing what is right. And you think you're doing what is right. And you have no remorse. No remorse. I posted something on my shorts the other day. Like, this guy was unbelievable. Unbelievable. There was an Irish, I don't know, maybe a member of parliament who was questioning him.
The last couple of months have been, I mean, I've listened to Amos talk about being insulted and offended. The last 3 months have seen the brutal murder of nearly 30,000 innocent civilians and children as a byproduct of the Israeli IDF trying to get to the terrorists. I absolutely understand why they would need to get to the route and to try and wipe them out. But the disregard of innocent women and children and men in that pursuit is absolutely breathtaking. I think my blood is nearly boiling listening to the justification of Amos. Like, insulted. Get over yourself with your insult. 30,000 people, innocent people, are killed in the last number of months in Israel's pursuit to get to a small number of Hamas terrorists. And you've no regret. You've no sympathy towards the people that you've killed. It's nearly like they get in the way. And your justification is that Hamas actually used them as a human shield and put them in the way. So that's, you know, that's nearly tough luck. It's appalling, and we are appalled.
Well, how would you fight this war if you face an enemy that is aiming a missile at your own child, and that enemy is hiding behind its own population? How would you fight it? Tell me what the method is.
Certainly not in the way that Israel have done for the last 4 months. Certainly not in the way that you have done.
That's the problem. And in fact, this method of fighting the enemy, even if the enemy is hiding behind the population, is legal as far as the laws of war is concerned.
That's actually even worse. That's even worse.
The laws of war, then look them up.
And he was like, yeah, well, going through civilians who are innocent during times of war in order to get to the terrorists, in order to get to your enemy, is something that is allowed. It's something that is allowed in the rules of war. Go and look it up if you don't know. It's unbelievable. I keep saying it's unbelievable because it should be unbelievable, but it's like, I can Like, I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. We will not stop talking about it. We will not shut up about it. And at this point, I think it's already clear to everybody, except anybody who is collecting money from these people, the Zionists, and therefore is owned by them. So they really do not have a mind of their own. They really do not have a mouth of their own anymore. Those are the only ones who can say otherwise. It's also not clear. Well, it could be clear, but some people are just psychopathic, sociopathic people who, you know, are mentally challenged and honestly cannot see right from wrong at this point. Those are the only people who still claim that this is not wrong. What is being done is not wrong. I mean, you like what I was saying before, you fight people who are not fighting you, innocent people, and tough luck because they are in the way. All right, you want to get to these terrorists, so they are in the way. You fight them, they are not armed, and yet you kill them. They are broken down. They are basically on the floor already. They've fallen down, and you are still kicking them. You are doing worse than kicking them, actually, because you've cut off their electricity, you've cut off their water supply, you've cut off their food, you've cut off their medicine supply. Their hospitals are not supplied at all. You've bombed their schools, you've bombed their worship centers, not just mosques, by the way. You bomb their worship centers, you bomb their libraries, you bomb their markets, you even bomb their hospitals. You bomb their hospitals, so I don't know where they're supposed to go now. Like, basically, like, you bomb their tents, you bombed everything. They are down and you are still kicking them. And now what is left is for you to be having the babies have their heads cut off and to be burning people alive. You should be ashamed. And when people are coming out, many different heads of states of different countries are coming out and they're calling this Netanyahu, somebody called him a vampire. I was like, yes, he's a vampire. But funny enough, right before I saw that post, I was thinking the same thing when I heard about the Rafah attack, that this guy is acting like a vampire. That is just what, like, he's a bloodthirsty, psychopathic vampire who at this point doesn't even care about right and wrong. He just wants to get, he's just out for blood. He's just out for blood. So it's really a shame. And everybody who is complicit in this should be ashamed. Starting with that man. Well, maybe not starting with that, starting with Netanyahu. And then there was that moron who was signing those, like, cannons, or what do you call them? Like those missiles. You can tell, like, people like that lady, people like that person, I don't know if I would call her a lady, people like that person are one of those psychopaths I was talking about that really cannot see because their minds are all muddled up. And it's a shame. Honestly, every single person who is complicit in this should be ashamed. They should be ashamed. And like I always say, time will tell. Time will tell. I don't know. Could be next year. Could be in 10 years. I don't know. But we will see, and the truth must out. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Anyway, thank you guys so much. By the way, everybody who, at this point, everybody should speak up. Everybody who can see and who is willing to admit that they can see and that this is wrong should speak up at this point. Not just politicians, or not just, you know, celebrities or people who have access to you know, politicians who can actually make a change and all of that. Everybody should speak up in whatever way they can. If you can, you should try to be as safe as possible. Because again, I'm not going to ask you to interact with a crazy drunk man, okay, who can be so violent. These people can bring out a knife and just, I mean, why would you go and hit somebody with a bat? Are you trying to kill that person? A bat. But again, there's so much hatred in their hearts that they do not want to know right from wrong, and they'll just do whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching this video with me till the very end. If you have not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe right now and give this video a big thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.